Welcome to Crate Digging with Carter, episode 2. Today I'm going to talk about moving with records. Here's my record of the day. This is Steppin' Out by Harold Vick. That's what I'm going to be doing over the next week as I move apartments. This is not really relevant to the video, but I just wanted to make sure I at least got one record in there that I talked about. Great record. Check it out. This is the Tone Poet reissue of that record. It's a lot of fun. It's got Blue Mitchell, who I love, on trumpet, Grant Green on guitar, John Patton on organ, and then Ben Dixon on drums. Check this one out. It's fantastic, and it's Harold Vick's only record on Blue Note, and it was a surprise. I really enjoyed it. Nice hard bop. Anyways, I'm going to be moving out over the next couple of weeks here, so I wanted to kind of talk about what I'm doing to move my records. I got about 220 records in my collection, so nothing excessive, but it still takes some time to plan out how I want to move everything. I had to make sure I have a secure way to transport everything. Do I want the movers to handle them? Do I want to handle them myself? And I'm going to talk about those things in this video. So first of all, I decided that I wanted to handle all of the packing and moving of the records myself because I think I can manage this collection and use my car or my wife's car to move everything around safely without having to have the movers get involved and potentially damage the records. So over the next couple of days here, I'll be packing up all my records here. I will be keeping them sorted kind of like they are now. I sort alphabetically and by genre. I'll probably talk about that in another video, but I'll try to keep them somewhat sorted in the various forms of transportation I have. So prior to a few weeks ago, I had two different crates. So I had a wooden, regular kind of record crate that I used to keep my new arrivals in. And then I also had this. I bought this back when Bed Bath & Beyond was still a store. And it's kind of this pop-out plastic crate. It's got a solid base, locks in, and should be able to hold a decent amount of records. I've used it before when my collection was smaller, and it works pretty well. And it's a good size here. So that will be partially how I transport my records, but since I moved previously, my collection has expanded. So I went online, read some reviews, and came across these guys here. These are, I don't know how to say the brand, I'm going to call it Untip. They are kind of cubes specifically designed for records. So I bought two of these, and that should be enough to hold all my records. They say they fit 90. Looking at the size of these and based on the reviews I read online, I don't think they're going to be able to actually fit 90 records, especially because I have, gatefolds and things like that that take up a bit more space than your regular record. So this is what it looks like. About the size of, one of these Kallax cubes here. So I would say probably about, 12, 13 inches of space there. So I should be able to fit most of these records here into one. This one here, I'm not sure if you can see that on camera, might be a little bit too tight. I might have to split it. But yeah, so that is what I'm going to use. I'll let you guys know how it goes in a little bit once I pack these things. But these are pretty nice. They have a nice, sturdy, kind of hard piece here for the bottom. It has a nice lid to close it up on top. And it even has, if my collection were bigger, I'd want to label these. Right here, you can put a little label in here to let them know what's inside. It's got carrying handles on the side. So I think it's a pretty good deal. I got one of these used. I think it was like 18 bucks, and then when I bought new for 20. So we'll see how these go, and I'll let you guys know a little bit later how this works out. All right, here we are, a couple of weeks later after we got settled into the new place here, and I'm going to talk about how the experience of moving records went. So, as I mentioned before, I used 3 different crates to move my records. I used these Untip fold-out cubes here. I used the wooden traditional record crate, and I used this plastic large pop-out crate here. So, first thing to know about moving records is, I'm sure you probably already know this, but they're very heavy. and if you're moving up a lot of flights of stairs, it can be pretty painful. I'm still glad that I moved them myself just to make sure I was taking care of the collection the way I wanted to, rather than have a mover kind of throw it around. But still, just be prepared for a good workout, and you don't want to overdo it in terms of how many records you are putting in each of your crates, because they can get real heavy real quick. So that's kind of the downside of this one here. So obviously it's a bigger crate. I like it, super compact, folds down well. Glad I have it, glad I used it. However, you can fit a lot of records in here, and if you're carrying, you know, what, 100, 120 records, maybe more than that, up flights of stairs, it can be a little taxing. And then also this one, I'm a little concerned here just because it's plastic. Like I said before, the bottom's very sturdy, but I don't know, it just feels a little less secure than I would have liked to, and I don't want to run the risk of like a crate falling apart and all the records, you know, falling downstairs or falling on the ground or whatever. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend using this. It got the job done for me, but I would recommend perhaps something a little bit smaller and a little bit sturdier than this plastic crate. The wooden record crate was good, nice and sturdy, didn't have any issues with it. It is a little bit heavier because it's made of wood, but it does hold a reasonable amount of records. I felt secure lifting it up and down, however it does remain uncovered, so if you're, you know, moving in some conditions in which you want your records covered, you may have to figure out another solution. But overall, traditional wooden record crate felt safe, felt secure. I would recommend using those, but they can be a bit more expensive to buy. Usually wooden record crates can run you, you know, upwards of $25, $30 depending on where you're buying them from. So that being said, I'll go back to these guys. I should mention that I'm not sponsored by this brand or anything. It's Untip. I just found these on Amazon, read some reviews. I felt pretty good overall about using these cubes. They got a nice solid base. They feel solid from the sides. I didn't at any point feel like, you know, the handles on the sides were gonna rip or anything like that. I would have liked it to be maybe just a little bit more secure feeling, but at no point when I was moving these records did I feel like, oh, I think the bottoms are gonna break, or I'm starting to hear tears or anything like that. So I think for 18 to 20 bucks, these Untip record transport cubes worked pretty well for my purposes. They're super lightweight, super compact, and they hold the right amount of records in there. As I mentioned before, I didn't put 90, and I probably put 60 or 70, and this is like the perfect amount that I didn't feel like, oh, this is going to be super taxing or anything as I'm carrying them up the stairs. Just felt like a solid amount. So would I recommend using these? Absolutely, check them out. It seems like a nice, relatively affordable, secure way to completely cover and transport your records if you're moving. So overall, that was my kind of takeaway. Moving all 220 plus records that I have from one apartment to another up flights of stairs. It's definitely doable. Make sure that you are prepared for a little bit of workout there. But it was good. I'm glad to have all my records here set up in the new place, and I'm excited to be settled down so I can start making some more videos. All right, thank you guys for checking out Crate Digging with Carter. We'll see you next time.